Boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to talk about something just totally off the normal beaten path. I was driving down to the beach yesterday. I was going for a walk. And when I got to the beach, I started to see this image of two different sides of the world, almost like, the kind of mythic good versus evil. And often what happens is you end up on one side or the other of this story in history, whether you recognize it or not. And one of the things that's not often noticed in that picture is the unity of it all. And I had this really moment where I started crying. It's so hard to share, I guess. It's one of those things that's kind of generally beyond words. But it was this feeling that even all the bad things that have happened in the world are happening for a reason. They're just well beyond the context of what it is that my little puny microcomputer brain can figure out. And it started to look like a cosmic joke. The Justin Trudeau's Parliament of Canada invited a Waffen-SS Nazi to speak at the House of Commons, and everybody got up and started giving him a round of applause. We live in a joke, right? That's what's happening. We live in a giant simulated joke, and the only way to see it is when you remove your perspective. Is when you remove your perspective that anything bad that is going on or anything that is good that is going on has anything to do with you. I know it's very difficult. We all want to hold our egos up and assume that we are the good or the bad guy, but often it's not so easily discernible which side of that story we lay on, and it's not important. At the end of the day, we're riding on the edge of infinity, flying through interstellar space, floating around a giant star, or twirling in the midst of an infinite of other stars and potential that's there. The hubris for us to think that we know what's best is the thing that causes suffering. It's the thing that creates all this abstraction of what is actually just one beautiful story. I see it. It's easier to see in the jungle. Maybe this has something to do with it. And I like eating lots of plants. But another way to look at it is the word dirt. Everybody thinks dirt is dirty, right? When dirt is, in fact, one of the birthplaces of all the stuff on this planet, right? It's a very sacred place. But that dirt, that darkness, that ground is made up of worms and maggots and centipedes and ants and bugs. It just, when you start to see it, it just looks like this this tapestry of death consuming all the things that were alive and transmuting it back into what can then create more life. And it's hard to see both sides of the story. It's hard to see, there's these old meditations where what we're supposed to do is think about the fact that we're going to die one day, and imagine seeing our body sat down beside a tree as our spirit leaves, and watch all the things that come and would eat the body, and how long it would take until you didn't exist anymore, and the tree that you were sitting beside fell over, and new trees started to grow where you had just been, and the infinite cycles and ages really start to come into your grasp, how big all of this is in comparison with the one of us going through our tragedy or our joy within this story, and then to see it all as perfect. I mean, it's easy when the Prime Minister of Canada makes it kind of like a joke. You're like, oh, it's a cosmic joke. It's ridiculous, right? This can't be what's happening. That's what's happening. The most entertaining outcome is the most likely. That's what appears to be happening. I don't have, I'm going to say, the bravery or the courage to do and to share my thoughts all the time, because I know I'm often wrong. I've made a lot of mistakes. I don't get everything right. We've had some years that are really good and some years that are not so good. But overall, this unification of the story, this ability to perceive everything as one directed goal, was just overwhelming and profound. And the reason I wanted to share that is because, I've tried to live a fairly asymmetric life in what I do. And a lot of my passions and interests I just dive headfirst into, because I don't think there's anything else better to do with my time. One of the reasons why I dropped out of high school when I was younger, why I started experimenting with plants, is because I got into this assuming most people are wrong. And that, although that is true, most people are also right. Most, everybody in this viewpoint of that unified story becomes a face of God. Even the worst of all of the faces that humanity has ever had, that is a face of the infinite edge of infinity. It's something to be respected and admired, even if it is the worst part of all of humanity, because it's the only way we can understand like what our story is here, and then how to overcome it as individuals, maybe as a community, and potentially a globe, and refine that interstellar story that I believe we are all a part of. So I know this is not anything to do with crypto, but it was a shot. I thought it was worth sharing. It was a valuable insight to me. So I hope that on this Tuesday, September 26th of 2023, as we're flying through interstellar space, this thought finds something peaceful and valuable for you as well. Anyways, thank you for joining us today. The Arcane Bear. We'll see you guys in the next episode.